Well, hello there. Have you ever wondered how much damage each skill deals? Well, so have I. The problem is that the game does not tell us how combination of tripods affects damage. All we can do is test it out. But why do I need to test every skill and tripod? Is it not supposed to be in the game? Well, if the game does not provide and no one actually mathematically calculated it, I just have to do it myself. And so I did. I mathematically calculated damage of every skill and tripod combination. Link to the full analysis in description below. Now I will provide an overview of rankings by pure damage and by damage per second. But before that I need to explain how we can accurately calculate damage of a skill. Damage is calculated by multiplying character's attack by skill multiplier and then by enemy's resistance. Attack and resistance may vary, but skill multiplier is constant and set by the developers for each skill. So, to accurately calculate damage and objectively compare it, we can use skill multipliers. To account for skill cooldown, we can use index skill multiplier, cooldown. It represents damage per second. Now without further ado, I present to you rankings by skill multiplier. At the last place is Sundering Palm. It is not surprising that the skill for enhancing other skills does almost no damage, only 1 or 2 uses of instant step do less damage. Sixteenth is Poison Javelin. It has too many conditions. The main drawback of the skill is that it deals full damage with a 30% probability. Here is a number with a combination of tripods without conditions that it will deal 70% of the time. I will mention that if all conditions are met on tripods and with a 30% probability, the damage of the skill can increase by 83.7%. Next is Straight Tackle. On tripods, it has a bonus on exhausted targets, but most of the time this condition is not met and does not affect its place. On exhausted targets, 50% more damage reaches a multiplier of 19.837 on headshots. A level 10 tripod is the most effective source of stun for a Soul Master. Absorbing Palm. Pulling and throwing enemies comes at a cost, and that's damage. Also has a plus 50% tripod on exhausted targets reaching 20.199 on backstab. Force Shot. Our very first skill that each of us threw away at the first opportunity. With this combination of tripods, the damage is maximized and has a distance bonus of 80%, 60%, 40%, 20%. To use it effectively, you need a lot of practice to keep the distance. Using oversupply multiplier is 14,63, but it becomes easy to use. Last, it turns the skill into a fast AoE. Instant Step. Keep in mind that damage tripods are not as useless as they seem at first glance. 60% of all damage is dealt by the final hit. Heaven Reversing Palm. This combination of tripods turns into a ranged skill with a 20% bonus at headshots. Finger Bolts. Pew Pew has a bonus and a specialized tripod for damage to targets in the air. Works great with Absorbing Palm and the multiplier reaches 25.753, but this only works on ordinary opponents and is useless on bosses. Key Palm. A fast knockback skill with good AoE. When all 3 spheres hit the enemy at close range, the damage reaches this multiplier. The combo with Space Compression turns into a sniper skill with a distance bonus only 5% weaker than the current combo and has a daze effect. Buddha's Palm. This combination is chosen here because it is more consistent than the Magnificent Attack. 4 hits from it in total give a large number. But the catch is that the hits are distributed over the area and usually only 2, 3 intersect in extremely small cases, so the damage to one normal target will almost always be lower than from the tripods presented. Has a bonus on knockdown targets, but it only works on normal enemies. Thunder Palm. Stronger than the palm by 8.31% only when hitting in the face. It has a very small radius, for a bonus of 150%, without it hits only by 10.178, and this is taking into account the second tripod of fire. In a key discharge, no one ever uses it with a damage tripod, but in terms of multiplier, it's stronger than most of skills. Falling Star Palm. If you hit bosses with health below 50%, then this skill will be in this place. On bosses above 50% it hits 19.576, 21.534, which is only 10% higher than its closest competitors. On ordinary enemies above 50%, it hits 68% less than its maximum potential. Wind Owl Blast. With this combination, it only hurts bosses, high range, but very small AoE. 50% stronger than closure on bosses, but 33.33% weaker on everything else. Suppression Field. Who would have thought that the total damage from it would be so high? Note that this is the only skill in the top 5 that does not have any conditions and does not discriminate against enemies. It deletes everyone equally. It is underestimated as a result of translation errors in tripods. See details in the skill analysis. 47.85% stronger than maximum damage of Falling Star Palm. 85 to 100% stronger than skills in places 7 to 12. Scattering Fire. Everyone's favorite skill, more tripod multipliers, more damage. It's simple. Note that without backstab it is only 1.969% stronger than Suppression Field. When hitting in the back, 24.1% stronger than 4th place, 65.8% stronger than 5th. Kamehameha. In spite of everything, it undoubtedly the strongest on bosses. On exhausted bosses with the tripod, the damage reaches 70.751, it is 65% higher than the maximum damage of Scattering Fire. 10% stronger without exhaustion. Now we know what skills have the biggest numbers. It is time to factor in cooldown time and see rankings of damage per second. In a key discharge. From 6th to last, big numbers can be deceiving. Even the CD tripod failed to lift it to 16th place. Sundering Palm. There is nothing surprising here. Buddha's Palm. From 8th place fell to 15. The skill has too big CD for its multiplier. The first level tripod for CD is 4% weaker than for damage. Straight Tackle. Stronger than Palm by 6.614% only on a hit to the head. Absorbing Palm. To note, when using a tripod for CD and meeting the condition for 8 opponents, the damage will increase to 1.465. Heaven Reversing Palm. There are no changes here. Quite an average skill in every sense. Thunder Palm. Another big fall, from 7th to 11th. The absence of tripods for CD or damage at the first level plays its role. Key Palm. I thought it would be higher. Competition is just too intense. Wind Owl Blast. Its problem is that the recovery tripod is set to AoE with its condition on 8 opponents, which contradicts boss damage tripod. Finger Bolts. Pew Pew returns in the top. Backstab has 7.49% more damage per second than Thunder Palm, 9.5% more than Heaven Reversing Palm, 45.5% more than Buddha's Palm. Kamehameha. Thunderous Fall from 1st to 7th place. When factoring in damage against exhausted bosses, it will retain its first place at 2.358. Simple conclusion, on exhausted bosses it has no equal. Instant Step. Very unexpectedly climbs from 12th to 6th. It turns out that if you use it as damage, then it is not exactly useless. 13.13% stronger than Thunder Palm. Falling Star Palm. If all the conditions are met, it will retain its place, but for bosses above 50%, even with a backstab, it is 6.2% weaker than Key Palm in 10th place. Scattering Fire. The most surprising fall of all, universally recognized, the strongest skill is not even in the top 3. I will give a comparison of the backstab with the previous places: 6 to 17.6%, 7 to 18.5%, 8 to 23.8%, 9 to 24.1%, 10 to 30.3%, 11 to 33.13%. The time has come for the big boy skills. Poison Javelin. From the 16th to the 3rd, there is clearly something wrong. The catch is in condition on 8 opponents. Even if it does minimal damage, it will still be 2.114% stronger than Scattering Fire. As I said, the main drawback of this skill is that it deals 64% or 68% of its damage 70% of the time. But even with that, it comes in 3rd place. It should be mentioned that with a 30% chance it can do 100% of its damage, and raise its damage per second to astronomical 2.801, this is a whole 50% more than Scattering Fire, and take the 1st place, but with a 70% chance it remains in 3rd place. Suppression Field. I would give it the crown just because it does not have any conditions, and it deals damage to everyone equally in a huge radius. Ease of use is clearly superior to our winner. How did it get to this level? It's simple. The first level of tripods gives plus 26.3% to damage per second, the second plus 50% damage to everything, the third plus 56% to 62.8%. Given the high base multiplier of the skill, this is enough to bring it into 2nd place. Force Shot. Our very first skill. At first he was weak, everyone underestimated him, they laughed at him, but after training Ark with cool music, he changed into a new form and became the absolute and undisputed champion. It is 15.8% stronger than Scattering Fire with an 80% distance bonus. Even with a 60% bonus it is still 2.9% stronger. Keeping the distance while maintaining the 80-60 bonus is very demanding on the player's skills, so as I said earlier, Suppression Field is easier to use. For those who do not want to complicate their life with this tripod, you can take Oversupply, then just press the button, deal damage, no conditions. In combination with Trance, only 1.8% weaker than Scattering Fire with a backstab, without a backstab 7.9% stronger. Note that although the tripod last hit does not have such large numbers, it turns the skill into instant, and with a cooldown of 5 seconds, its ease of use and low cooldown give it huge potential. Before mentioned 4 tripods on this skill are the strongest among all at the 2nd and 3rd level of tripods of the Soul Master, and it was they who pulled our plain 1st level skill to the 1st place among all skills. This is not even the final form of this skill. The levels of tripods and runes will take it to astronomical heights, but this is already a topic for another analysis. Finally, Force Shot is Soul Master's most powerful skill, mathematically proven. This completes the analysis. Now you know exactly how much damage each skill deals and how they compare to each other. These secrets were revealed after such a long time with the help of mathematical analysis. Who said that mathematics will never be useful in your life? If you're interested to see damage of all possible combinations of tripods, link to the full analysis in the description below. Thank you for your time, and farewell.